we are back with another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dougie Fresh, and the other guy on the screen, and if you're watching this, is Jacob Klukas.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy? Doing all right?
Yeah, doing great.
Okay, man of
Great
many
day.
words.
Wasn't a great day of golfing this morning, but
You know,
doing great.
what do they call golf? Really?
It's the most frustrating and fun game ever.
Well, they call it golf because fuck was taken.
Oh, okay.
That's what you never heard that?
I have not, but
Makes sense, right?
it does. It does.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about how maybe the Spurs might be recreating the Duncan dynasty a little bit, making some moves to do so. We're going to talk about a little bit NFL and what like top 5 moves each of us want to see in the offseason for whichever teams we picked. We're going to talk about our top 5 sports movies. Just a little something fun. I don't know. We'll see.
Kind of stuck in between that. We're waiting for the NCAA tournament. NBA just kicked back up a little after the All-Star break. No more NFL. We're just gonna have a little fun here.
And then lastly, we're going to talk about some college basketball and if we have any in like preseason, pre-tournament favorites. So
starting off,
yeah.
Before our brackets are busted in the first day.
Yeah, always seems to work like that. But anyways, all right, let's get going. What do you want to start with?
All right, so I guess let's dive into the what do I mean by the Spurs recreating the Tim Duncan dynasty. So if you don't know, the Spurs shut down Victor Wembanyama for the rest of the year.
He had a blood clot in his shoulder, right?
Yeah, blood clots in his shoulder, which are no joke. So I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose. I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose or anything, but yeah. So they shut him down for the rest of the year. Obviously, Pop has had his own health issues and hasn't been with the team in quite some time, and he's not going to return the rest of the year. And they're saying he may not return ever.
Yeah, questionable.
So that'll be up for grabs of who gets to take over this dynasty or potential dynasty, as I've been saying. And now, so I look at it, and what do I mean by they're recreating the Spurs, the Duncan dynasty? Well, if anybody recalls how the Spurs got Tim Duncan to begin with, if you remember, they had David Robinson already. And when you when you really dive into how did the Spurs get the number 1 pick, you're like, they had David Robinson. How did they end up? How was that team that bad to get the number 1 pick? Well, David Robinson sat out the year or got hurt, was out for the year. Spurs ended up with the number 1 pick. They ended up drafting Tim Duncan, putting Duncan and Robinson next to each other. They ended up winning 2 titles together and before Robinson retired. So what am I saying by this? Who's available in this draft, Doug?
Cooper Flagg?
There's a young man by the name of Cooper Flagg, which is a highly, highly touted player coming into the draft. Arguably, in our lifetime, the most hyped outside of maybe Zion. And I would say maybe even Cooper's a little bit more hyped than Zion.
Really?
Highly, highly talked about. And so Spurs are already sitting at 24-31. They're currently 12th in the West. I could see them losing, obviously losing games without Victor. They don't really have another big to replace him. But, they have Stephon Castle. They have De'Aaron Fox. I'm not saying they're just going to, give up. But there is a scenario where this team could lose enough games to finish 12, 13 in the West, somehow win the lottery once again, and we could end up with Cooper Flagg going to San Antonio to team up with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, and now for the next 7 to 10 years, the league is going to have to deal with a Fox, Cooper Flagg, Wemby trio.
I mean, I like it. I mean, if Wemby really, he sounds like he's really hurt, so that this could actually end up being like a blessing in disguise type of thing. I mean,
we've seen in the past also blood clots are no joke. I mean, we saw Chris Bosh. Sure. It essentially ended Chris Bosh's career.
Yep.
But
was his the same? I didn't know I forgot about it.
Yeah, but Bosh's blood clots were in his legs, I believe, and I think that's why. I think that's why it pretty much took him out. Plus, he was already in his 30s.
Yeah.
Lifespan of a big in the NBA isn't that doesn't reach that high. But yeah, I mean, if he comes back from this fully healthy, all good, and they end up with this number 1 pick, which a lot of people talk about the NBA draft is rigged. And if we're talking about ratings being down in the NBA, what could drive ratings up more than a highly talented? For the last 3 years, the Spurs get the number 1 pick, and in those 2 of those 3, they get the biggest generational prospect we've talked about since LeBron and Wemby, and the most highly talked about college basketball player, arguably in history, is one of them, at least, in Cooper Flag. And they just traded for De'Aaron Fox for a bag of chips, basically.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, the rating, it would definitely help the NBA ratings for sure. And on top of that, with LeBron and Luka teaming up, LeBron always, I feel like always draws eyes. Right? Everybody's
God,
not going to miss a chance to
speaking of
watch
that, there
LeBron.
was a post. I don't know. I sent it to you today too. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. It was Stephen A. Smith this morning on First
I
Take
watched it.
saying,
I was getting to that. Yeah.
Luka's prolonged LeBron's career, and I'm prolonged. We can go longer. Like,
I mean, it really has. I watched a play the other day when Luka had his most minutes played. I guess his most efficient.
Against Denver Saturday.
The most efficiency, offensive efficiency he had. Yeah. There was a play where LeBron literally just sat in the corner, and he's a better shooter. He's the best 3-point shooter. He's shooting the best he ever has in his career. I had a stroke there for a second.
It's okay.
And now he can just sit in the corner and spot up, and then take over a game whenever they need him to.
Yeah,
if they need him to.
At 40 now, with LeBron, you don't have to. Before it's been, all right, LeBron, you gotta give us 38 minutes of you being you. And LeBron at 38, 39, 40 just couldn't do that anymore. Now we're talking with Luka. LeBron, we're just asking you to give us 10-minute, 12-minute stretches of you being you.
Yeah.
And
he's a great passer. He can pass when he needs to, make plays. And then if you need him to drive down and dunk on somebody, he's already proven he can still do that this year.
And I mean, it's only been a couple games, but I mean, that connection between Luka and LeBron, I mean, it's very eerily similar of Wade and LeBron. So, and LeBron said the other night, he was like, Luka's a natural born quarterback and I'm a natural born wide receiver. So it fits.
LeBron's a giant ass wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, when he played wide receiver in high school, that's why there was that meme that went around and said, imagine having to do algebra 2 all day and then having to cover LeBron.
Yeah, no, that would suck.
Yeah, no. But anyways, back to the Spurs. So, I mean, I really think as far as that goes, if that were to happen, it's really going to fall on who they would hire as a coach if Pop is truly done. And I've said it. I think there's no, and I know they won't do it because of the stories and the amount of news and everything it would bring to the team. And the Spurs aren't really they don't like all the noise.
Type of team.
The perfect fit to go from Pop, to that next person is Becky Hammon. She was groomed to be, she was groomed from Pop. She was groomed to be the next Spurs coach. And she's done a phenomenal job in the WNBA with the Las Vegas Aces. And she was, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was in 2018, 2019, something like that. She coached the Spurs Summer League team and they won the Summer League title. So
I thought she coached in the G League too.
I think she did too, but I don't know if the Spurs would make that move, like as a full-time hire for Becky Hammon to be the coach of the Spurs. But it's a seamless transition because she's the Pop of the WNBA.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think that'd be a great move. I don't know,
but I don't know if they would pull the trigger on it just because of the noise it would make. I say screw it.
Cooper Flag. If you're going to try and get Cooper Flag like we're thinking they are, you might as well just do the whole shebang and just.
Well, my thing is with the whole no noise thing. I understand you don't want camera crews and everything in your locker room and all nonstop because that's what they're going to do because they're going to want a nonstop headline of Becky Hammon being the coach. But my thing is, regardless of the noise it brings, if it's the right move, it's the right move. Make the move.
If Pop retires, he's I would say without a doubt going to recommend her.
Well, and I would
of a list.
And after everything that Pop's done, if I'm the GM, whoever Pop says should be the coach is who I'm going with.
Yeah.
So
we'll see if they listen.
I mean, but yeah, that honestly, that Spurs dynasty would be something because I feel like Cooper and Wemby complement each other very well. Cooper's
Oh
a
yeah,
good defensive player. Wemby obviously is a great defensive player. Cooper is a very good all-around offensive player. Wemby obviously a good all-around offensive player. But I feel like the way Wemby is more so jumper, oriented. He's not post oriented. Cooper can be post oriented at times, and obviously, but I think he operates better from the free throw line down. But
yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine getting the ball in the middle of the floor to Cooper and watching him lob it to Wemby, or
Who doesn't even jump?
yeah, or vice versa. Wemby catches it in the middle and lobs it to Cooper.
Yeah,
Like, so I
it'd
kind
be
of would
fun to
like
watch.
to see it because I can't stand when number one picks like that are talked about like that end up in places like Washington and Charlotte. Like that's not fun. I don't want to watch them in there. I'm sorry. They'll never be entertaining. This is why they leave after their rookie contract. Like I want to see them go somewhere that's actually fun, actually entertaining, and San Antonio's that. I don't want to watch Cooper Flag in Utah. I don't want to see him in Portland. Don't want to see him in Washington. I'm sorry, it's not fun. There's no headlines there. So sorry to those organizations, but it's just not. It's not good TV.
They have. They're. I mean, we can talk about this. Or we have talked about this a lot with the ratings, but they have to do something. And something like this,
Oh,
they
and
somehow
that
going to
and
let the
if you
Spurs do that.
definitely if you're one of those ones that think the NBA is rigged, and they have a guy like Cooper Flag who's highly talked about coming in, if you think they won't have a say so in where Cooper goes, essentially, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So again, I'd love to see it, but we'll see what happens. Again, I don't think the Spurs are just going to lay down for the rest of the year, but
Eh, they won't try as hard.
maybe not. Maybe we'll see Fox come out of the
Fox will
fourth
just,
quarter.
yeah.
So, all right. So that's all I got from that. So I guess now we'll move on to a couple top fives. So, Doug, I will let you go first.
Okay.
Let's do top five. And then I know we kind of touched on this, but these are the first one's going to be top five moves we want to see this NFL offseason.
Okay. So what I did was I picked some different teams that I wanted to talk about. First off, we're both Colts fans, so I'm going to bring up the Colts
Are
as a
these in
team.
order in any way, or they're just five?
No, these are just 5 different moves that I want to
Okay.
see. So this was just the first. I'm just going in my order. It came out of my head, pretty much. Yeah. So Colts, they have to sign a QB that makes a difference immediately. Richardson is still yet to prove himself, and also prove that he can stay healthy, which is two separate problems, big problems. And I think they have the right pieces. They have cap space to go out and really go get a quarterback that can make a difference. We're running on a ticking clock with Jonathan Taylor and our receivers, who are now not Michael Pittman, not getting any younger, and we're in a spot to make a run at the AFC South if we can get a QB that can make a difference. I'm hoping with us signing the dude that came from the Bengals, the defensive
Lou
coordinator.
Aruma.
Yeah, if we signing him as our defensive coordinator can help fix the defense a little bit, and we'll have to draft some pieces on that side. But QB, that makes a difference.
Do you have a specific one in mind?
I want Stafford. That's who I want. I know it seems likely that he's going to go somewhere else, but I'm good with Stafford. And honestly, I'm okay with if they go sign a quarterback like Justin Fields, who has more experience in the league, like playing time in the league than Richardson does, and he's a similar type quarterback, so the system really wouldn't have to change that much. So I would be okay with something like that. And because if they have a QB battle, which you were talking to me before we started this, was that Chris Ballard came out and said whoever comes to play quarterback, it's an open battle for the starting job.
Yep.
So if you sign someone like a Fields, and let's just say Richardson, Steichen wants to roll with Richardson, if he gets hurt again, Fields can come in and be that guy and actually still make an impact. So those are my top two picks that I would want. But we'll see what happens. All right, you want to go, or you want to keep moving?
You want to go back and forth? That's
Yeah,
fine with
let's go
me.
back and forth.
All right, mine were in order and how I wanted them to happen.
Okay.
I just ordered mine. That was me. First, I did have two honorable mentions, real quick, that I didn't put in my top five, but I did want to mention. So the first one, I did have Justin Fields to the Colts. I would like that move. That was an honorable mention for me. And then the second honorable mention was I want to see Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams go to Pittsburgh.
Mm,
I
I like
think
that.
Pittsburgh needs another wide receiver for one. Aaron Rodgers, despite everything that's been going on, actually did not have a bad year last year. And actually, I got something wild for you that I meant to actually share during our MVP talk. Give me 1 second. So, Aaron Rodgers last year had 3,897 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on a 63% completion percentage. Josh Allen's passing numbers. Now, granted, this doesn't factor in his rushing, obviously. Passing numbers 3,731, less than Aaron Rodgers. 28 passing touchdowns, same, and he had 6 interceptions less than Aaron Rodgers. He had 5 interceptions less, had 6 interceptions at a 63% completion percentage. And somebody had quoted Aaron Rodgers when he had said a long time ago, down years for me are career years for other quarterbacks.
I don't remember him saying that, but that.
So he did. He had said it in an interview a while back. So Aaron Rodgers can still go. He's not MVP Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's definitely a step up for Pittsburgh from Russell Wilson, from Mason Rudolph, that they've been
Yeah,
going
for
through.
sure.
And then you add in Devontae Adams. You bring in somebody like Devontae Adams who can mentor George Pickens a little. And yeah, I think that'd be a great fit for them. All right, so my number five, my actual five, and this was Colts oriented again, no quarterback though. I want to see the Colts trade for Kyle Pitts.
Get a
I
tight
think,
end in there.
yeah, I think first of all, Kyle Pitts needs a new home. I think Atlanta has just not been a good fit. It sounded good at the beginning, with having, a Bijan, Drake London, and then Kyle Pitts as like a trio of an offensive, tandem and everything, but it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason, whether it be schematics, whether it be maybe Kyle Pitts just isn't that good, whatever it is, maybe Kyle Pitts just needs a new home, and you get him to a place like Indianapolis where he could just be that check down guy for Anthony Richardson, be the safety net for him, and maybe we can, one, help Anthony Richardson grow as a quarterback, but two, revitalize Kyle Pitts' career.
Yeah,
So
I like it.
So I had Kyle Pitts getting traded to Indianapolis as my first one.
All right. My next one was Ravens need to go sign a big time receiver. Now, Rashad Bateman had a really good year this year. He should have been better a long time ago, in my opinion. But I think they need to go sign another top receiver. And who I think they should go sign is Tyreek Hill. And I think if is he a free agent or is he just one out?
He wants out.
So whether or not they just need to go get him, whether or not it's sign him or trade for him, I think that's the perfect fit
Yeah.
for Lamar.
And listen, Rashad Bateman is very good, but
He is
he's a very, very, very
streaky.
low tier 2 option.
I mean, he's streaking. He might have it's a couple
Yeah.
games. He might not
He's
show up.
he's a very low tier 2 option wide receiver. He is a high tier 3rd option wide receiver.
Yep, and if Tyreek Hill can maybe take a little less money than what he's used to, I think they can make it work.
God, could you imagine an offense with Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Tyreek Hill?
Let's run the ball game, and then hey, oops, play action. There's Tyreek Hill just
You don't even have to play action. Just dump that ball off 2 yards and watch Tyreek Hill go.
Or run a screen or something. Then yeah, let him run.
Or imagine RPOs with those 3.
Yeah, some sweep plays.
Yeah,
that would be sick. Anyways, that's my next one. That's what I want to see for the Ravens in the offseason.
Okay. My number 4 was I'd like to see the Cincinnati Bengals retain all their guys. And what I mean is give the contract to Jamar Chase that he deserves, for one. He's not a free agent, but he's eligible for his contract. Pay the man, for one.
Yeah.
And then 2, pay T. Higgins and pay Trey Hendrickson. Stop. This is the reason why Cincinnati goes from really good in our life, they've gone up, down, up, down, up, down, because they draft usually pretty well. They not the greatest, but they don't draft bad. So they usually draft good players, and then they let those players get really good, and then they let them walk because they don't pay them.
Yeah.
So pay your guys. Keep T. Higgins in Cincinnati alongside Jamar Chase and with Joe Burrow. Pay him. Pay Trey Hendrickson, who just led the league in sacks. You're already
You need to
suffering
keep
on
him.
defense. Why would you let your best defensive player just walk? Pay all your guys, keep them in house, keep drafting well, and then put other pieces around them. I get it. People are like, well, then you're tying all your money into a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, and a defensive guy. Well, yeah, that's kind of how
That's
this
what you
league
need.
works.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Like you win in this league by drafting well. When you draft well, keeping your guys in house. That's how you win. Number 4 for me was I want to see the Bengals retain their guys.
Yep. I like that. All right, my next one, my third one was Patriots need to get Drake May some help because he has a chance, I think, to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. And their Patriots, I think, are in a unique spot to be, I think, pretty good in the next like 2 to 3 years, like really good. And I think they have to go get Drake May, an offensive tackle, and a receiver. Go get him somebody to throw the ball to that's reliable, and go get somebody that can freaking protect him.
Yeah.
So he's not running for his life. And give him time to throw and make him make plays.
And that's one place, if the Bengals don't pay T. Higgins, I'd like to see T. Higgins go. New England.
Yep.
Another one that's been a New England like rumor ever since even Mac Jones was there, that he's also a free agent. Chris Godwin would be another good one.
Oh, that's a perfect person for that.
So
He catches everything.
no, I agree. The Patriots have something special. They can't just let it go to waste. And I think with Mike Vrabel, I don't think they will.
No. With Vrabel coming in, he's going to change that whole organization back to what it used to be, a winning organization.
Yeah. So, all right, number 3 for me. My last 3 were kind of like league-shaking moves.
Ooh, league shaking.
Yeah. So number 3 for
Can
me,
you
and
hashtag
you're
that?
probably gonna, yeah, I mean you can. Number 3, you're probably gonna go, wow, this was 3. I can't wait to hear the other 2. Number 3 is I want to see Max Crosby get traded to the Detroit Lions.
Ooh, okay.
Him and Aiden Hutchinson alongside together would terrorize offensive lines. And when I look at Aiden Hutchinson, I look at a mini Max Crosby. Like maybe he doesn't have the attitude and everything of Crosby, but the play style and the way they play and the way they rush the passer is exactly the same. And if I can have that on both sides, and Max Crosby just kind of fits that Dan Campbell, attitude. So I would love to see, and I believe also Max Crosby's from Michigan, I believe. So I would love to see Max Crosby get traded to the Detroit Lions. Las Vegas gets out and, gets to kind of just rebuild completely. Max Crosby gets to go to, go to a place where he gets to win, and Detroit just gets better.
Yeah.
So
I just looked it up. He is from Michigan.
Yeah, I think he went to Eastern Michigan, I think it was.
I think that's what it said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like Aiden Hutchinson too. I know he got hurt.
I mean, yeah, that
sucks, but
that kind of ruined Detroit's season. It did,
yeah,
but it didn't. I mean, they still won a lot of games, but that ruined their chances of going far in the playoffs because they were
he was a
already
difference maker.
they were already a shaky defense as is, and losing your best pass rusher just didn't help it.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun defense to watch. If they can get Max Crosby there. All right, so my fourth one is for the Commanders. I think Washington needs an edge rusher. I think that's a need for their defense if they can't keep Dante Fowler Jr. And I know he's getting a little older, and they might not want to pay him, but I think they should try and keep him if they can. If not, they got to go get somebody. And I don't really know who they get at that point, but I think there's going to be players that want to go play in Washington because that's a pretty good team.
Well, good. That ties into my number 2. You want to know who?
Who?
I've got number 2. Miles Garrett gets traded to the Commanders.
Dang it! I forgot about Garrett being.
Miles Garrett wants out. Washington is all in on trying to win. You get Myles Garrett in Washington, and watch how much of a difference that makes.
Yep.
So that was a great. I know you didn't do that on purpose, but that was a great segue.
I didn't even put mine in order.
Yeah, that was literally my number 2. Myles Garrett gets traded to the Washington Commanders. I watched what Dan Quinn was able to do with Micah Parsons when he was in Atlanta. If anybody remembers when Vic Beasley had his one good year with Dan Quinn, where he was a high sack guy, and now I can give him Myles Garrett.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, Myles Garrett to the Commanders.
If Myles Garrett goes to the Commanders, I don't think they're the favorite still with the Eagles, but
I would put him as the favorite only because of the NFC East curse. I know how that works.
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know. We'll see. That'd be awesome, though. All right, so my last one is a play on the Bengals, kind of what you said, but I went about it a different way. So obviously, I want them to retain Chase. I mean, the dude just had the Triple Crown for receiving, and Joe Burrow. He had a really good year. I mean, a great year, and they just couldn't win games. So, but I think you got to let Higgins walk.
Our flag football team.
Yep, it does. I know you said you want them to keep Higgins. I think they need to let Higgins walk. Pay Jamar Chase his money for his contract. Let Higgins walk and take the money you were going to pay Higgins and go spend it on your defense. That's what I say. Keep Hendrickson, pay him, and go get some other guys that you're not planning on drafting if they're out there. And I think if you keep Higgins, that's going to let the defense is going to suffer at that point. I think you're going to run out of money eventually. So I think you're going to have to let Higgins walk. Plus, they can just keep throwing the ball to Chase. I mean, he's already proven he just literally will just catch everything. I'm not even sure if he opens his eyes when he throws. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, he knows where he's supposed to be. Chase is supposed to be. He just throws it. That's my top one. Let Higgins walk. Go put money towards the defense.
All right, my number 1, and this ties in if you follow the Instagram, the video,
hashtag leak shaking.
The video I put out yesterday. Matthew Stafford traded to the Minnesota Vikings.
Now, so just a flop, right? The flip-flop?
Essentially, I think it would involve the Vikings franchise tagging Darnold and sending him to L.A. in the trade along with other picks.
Okay.
But so obviously, I've told you before, if the Colts, and when I say we, I'm talking about the Colts, if we sign a veteran guy again, it's got to be Stafford, or you can't do this old quarterback all over again.
Yeah.
Stafford in Indy is a great move and works because, and I said this in my video, they have great receivers. You have Josh Downs, Pittman, Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, if he can ever figure out how to just catch the football, and if they were to bring in, Kyle Pitts even as well, bring that in. You have a solid offensive line already. You have Jonathan Taylor. The defense is a work in progress. We'll see what that looks like after this season. But the number one attraction to Indy, if I'm Matthew Stafford, is the fact that I could walk in and win the division and arguably be the best quarterback in the division right away.
Yeah.
So that's my argument for Indy, is that it's the easiest division. It's the easiest team to walk into and have a chance to win essentially the division right away and not have to worry about just making a wild card or something. Minnesota, while it's the perfect fit, you do have to worry about Detroit, Green Bay, now Chicago on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at it from Kevin O'Connell was his offensive coordinator the year the Rams won the Super Bowl. I watched Matthew Stafford do what he has done with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua the last couple years. Sorry, Cooper Kupp over the last couple years, Puka the last 2. You're telling me I could pair him with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is the perfect fit outside of the division thing. It is the perfect fit. Maybe J.J. McCarthy isn't ready, so you pay Stafford 2-3 years. McCarthy gets healthy, learns the offense, everything. You sit him behind Stafford, and you can win. And honestly, Stafford to the Vikings would probably make them instant favorites in the NFC to come out. And
Instant favorites.
if not number 2, because they were already 14-3 with Sam Darnold last year.
It's true. That is
So
true.
you add Stafford to the mix, and you add Brian Flores had that defense that didn't even have the pieces necessarily that he wanted, playing really well. You're going to add to the defense. They already have a good O-line. They re-signed Aaron Jones, and now you're running with you have Stafford, Aaron Jones, and then Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson to all throw to. Good luck. And my other argument for the Vikings and the Colts, Stafford has never played for a team that hasn't been in a dome. In Detroit, he was in a dome. In LA, he's in a dome.
Vikings play outside.
Vikings playing a dome. Colts.
Oh, Vikings playing a dome?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Vikings playing a dome. Colts, retractable roof, might as well be a dome.
It's a dome. Yeah.
So those are the other two arguments, is that Pittsburgh, while it's a good fit, I think.
He don't like the cold.
I don't think he's going to want to play outside. Not after he's played inside his whole career.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, Matthew Stafford to the Minnesota Vikings is my number 1.
I love it. I think some of these will happen on both lists. I think they will.
Love it. Again, Matthew Stafford to the Vikings, I think, like I said, if you want to say the Eagles are still the favorite to come out of the NFC next year, that's fine.
They still got to make some moves too, though.
But the Vikings are definitely number 2 then, if they're not number 1.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the NFL. You want to move on to our other top 5?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's get out.
All right. You want to start this time?
Yep, I'll get going. So
go from 5. I did order these.
You did?
So go from 5.
Yeah, I ordered mine too. So again, honorable mention that I did not put in my top 5. Space Jam, Happy Gilmore, Draft Day.
Happy Gilmore was my honorable mention.
Draft Day, which is an underrated sports movie, I think.
Kevin Costner.
Yep. Dodgeball. Funny, all-time funny movie.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
And The Blind Side were all in my honorable mention that I really like, but they just didn't make my top 5.
Yep.
All right, so number 5 for me, again, in order, 5, The Sandlot. Nostalgia. It's just, you watch the movie growing up. You've watched it several times since then, probably. It's one of those movies, you see it on, you watch it, and you watch it all the way to the end, no matter what, and again, it's just a nostalgic movie. So it couldn't not make my top 5 for me. So 5, I had The Sandlot.
Oh yeah. And so I didn't play baseball growing up. Obviously I watched The Sandlot and it's a great movie. But I don't think no baseball movies were on my top 5. So, but anyways, I already mentioned the honorable mention, and then my number 5 is Southpaw. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's a boxing movie with Jake Gyllenhaal as the lead. And I love boxing. I love UFC. Like any type of fighting like that, I enjoy watching. And I think Southpaw was a good mix between, like, there's a lot of boxing in the movie, and just training, it was realistic, at least what it seems in the movie, and it had some drama to it, and I don't know if it's based on a true story or not, but I don't think it is, but yeah, that's my top 5.
Or your
anytime that's on, or if I'm like in the mood to watch a boxing movie, that's usually what I pop on.
Okay. All right, number 4, we went football with this one. The Longest Yard. Mix of great story. It's funny.
The newer one, right?
Yeah. I mean, the older one's good too.
Older one's good, but we
But
grew up on the newer one.
Right. Funny, great story, and then just the variety of actors in the movie that were in it just made this movie all around great. Again, another one of those movies, when it's on, I turn it on. We never turn it off. So yeah, Longest Yard was number 4 for me.
My number 4 was also Longest Yard. So keep in mind, people, we did not tell each other our list beforehand. So if some of these are the same, that's kind of funny.
Nope, we have not shown our list at
Yeah.
all.
So number 4 was also a long shot. I'm a big fan of Adam Sandler, and it was kind of
Yeah.
cool to see him in a role other than like a It is kind of a comedy and such, but it was kind of cool seeing him in that type of role. And like you said, the other cast members. I mean, helped
Well,
really make
and
the
the
movie.
other catch for me growing up, when it first came out is, and I mean, and I still am, big WWE guy. So
Yeah.
seeing Goldberg, seeing the Great Khali in that movie, was another attraction to me. So getting to see guys that I watch in WWE in the movie was just another attraction to me. Kevin Nash as well. So was just
Yep.
another big attraction to me as far as liking that movie.
Yep.
All right, number 3 might be a little controversial, maybe too low for some people, but my top 2, there was no way it was going above it. Remember the Titans was number 3 for me. Arguably one of the greatest movies ever, in all honesty, but it's got way too many iconic quotes in it. So Remember the Titans was for me number 3.
Nice. My number 3 was The Replacements, another football movie. That movie actually was a little before our time, but when we got old enough to understand and watch movies like that, I loved the idea of an NFL team saying, "Okay, there's a strikeout or there's a strike, and
Y'all don't want to play? We'll
y'all don't
play
want to
for
play.
you.
We're gonna go get our own team." And I loved that idea. And Keanu Reeves plays Falco in the movie,
Ohio
so
State legend Shane Falco.
Shane Falco blew that game against, what was it, Florida State? I think it was in the
I
movie.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That movie's great. It has a good. I think that the ending's good. So yeah, that was my number 3 was The Replacements.
All right, number 2, and this is the Cleveland boy in me that plays a role in this. Number 2 for me was Major League,
Yep.
and it's literally just the fact that it's a movie about the Cleveland Indians. Yeah, great movie, great trilogy. Honestly, yeah. Charlie Sheen. This is obviously before Charlie Sheen just went. Poop.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but that was back when Charlie Sheen, great actor. Before all that, obviously. But I mean, hey, Wild Thing. You make my
Yep.
heart sing. But yeah, it's literally the Cleveland boy in me is what drew this
Couldn't
movie
pass
to
that
me.
up.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yep. Uh, so my number 2 was Coach Carter. Rich what? Richmond. Rich what? Richmond. Yeah, I grew up loving basketball in general. So watching a movie like that where he comes in and takes a pretty bad team and makes them really good by just basically discipline, and makes those high school kids into something that what they wanted to be. They
All based on a true story
all
too.
based on a true story. And Samuel Jackson, I
Great
mean,
actor.
plays a yeah. I mean, he's I think he's been in like 100,000 movies or something.
Yeah,
So
you might know him.
yeah, you might know him. And yeah, there again, like you were talking about with Remember the Titans. There was so many quotes I have from that movie and it was, I guess it was just came out in a time when we were kids and we were susceptible to that stuff. But yeah, that was my number 2 was Coach Carter.
Well, that's my number 1.
Okay, there you
Coach
go.
Carter is my number 1 because it's my favorite movie ever.
I mean, great. I mean, yeah.
Coach Carter is my favorite movie ever. I will never not watch Coach Carter. It is just for me my favorite movie ever. Again, basketball oriented obviously is one key, but it's just a great movie. Like I don't think I need to go into detail about how good the movie is. It's a great movie. So, and yeah, again, so many memorable quotes, just great storytelling obviously throughout it. Samuel Jackson is great. So yeah, Coach Carter number 1 for me.
My number 1 was Remember the Titans. They're it doesn't it's not just about the football movie, like the football piece of it, but it's about a true story, and it's about a whole team coming together when basically everything was against them, tearing them apart. And those two coaches, that Denzel and was it Bill Paxton? No, not Bill
Uh
Paxton. What's his?
Here, maybe look it up.
What's his name? Well, Will Patton. That was close. But those two. I mean, those two play such awesome roles for that movie. Yeah, I enjoy it. Every time I watch it, I get all hyped up, ready to go hit somebody.
Now I don't want them to gain another yard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great.
it's a great movie. But yeah, so
If any of you all have not seen any of these movies,
what are you doing?
I'm questioning it.
No, yeah.
I'm questioning your sports love.
And I'm sure there's movies that other people are going to be like, "How did
Oh
you
yeah, for
leave
sure.
these out?"
And
Like
tell
these are.
us.
Please
Let
keep
us
in
know.
mind these are our top 5. This isn't what we think
Yeah,
is the top 5 best sports
no, these are
movies
our top
ever.
fives.
It's just our. So,
But again, if you haven't seen these, go watch them. Just go watch them.
oh yeah.
You'll watch. You'll love them.
So, all right, last segment will lead into the college basketball world. We're not that far away from conference tournaments getting ready to start up. And then obviously not that far away from the NCAA tournament starting up. So, just kind of talking about do we have any early favorites that we like? Maybe not so much a champion favorite, but is there any teams that we like that we think that can make a deep run? Um,
Yeah.
make some noise. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I know you're going to, so I want to steal the spotlight from you first. St. John's is one of my teams to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
I mean, Ricky P at his finest right now, dude.
yeah, and this team is humming
They're
at the right time.
really good.
Now I don't see Saint. I say that I don't see St. John's. If they made a Final Four, not shocked,
Right.
but I don't see them making the Final Four. But I see them making a
I
Sweet
think they're an Elite
16,
Eight team.
a Sweet 16, Elite 8, and I could very well see them, depending on seeding, knocking out. Like if they knocked out, by the Sweet 16, Elite 8, if they knocked out an Auburn, a Duke, a Florida, or
Not
something like
shocked
that, nobody would be shocked.
with the way they play defense.
That's one of our teams, we'll say, to look out for. And our buddy Matt will love this. Florida is another team to watch. I know they're the number 3 team, so it's kind of like, oh well, of course, but they're really good, and they're definitely a Final Four caliber team.
Your top teams in the SEC right now are going to be any teams to watch out for because the conference is so good.
Minus Tennessee.
Maybe minus Tennessee.
Listen, they've never made a Final Four before. They have no idea what it's like to go that far in the tournament.
True, but again, your team. I was more alluding to like Auburn is the number 1 team in the country for a reason.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty much have dominated the entire SEC and
The entire country.
and the entire country. So I would have zero doubt that they're in a national championship game.
Yeah, I mean the 2 favorites are Auburn and Duke, obviously.
Yeah. But again, like Duke could have an off game, and again, you play in the ACC where it's not as good of a conference, and you run into these teams who may just play a little harder, and Duke's not ready for it. They could drop one.
Yeah, and again, I'll say it's biased, whatever. Kentucky gets healthy, they can make a little run.
They have to get healthy though. If they don't,
they snag a 4 or 5 or even a 6 seed, and they get to play one of these top teams in their bracket. They can upset somebody and knock them out.
Yeah, with their shooting, for sure.
So I don't think they're a Final Four or an Elite 8 team this year, but they can upset somebody in that second round Sweet 16 and make it to the Elite 8 maybe, but they got to be healthy for one. Another sneaky team, and they kind of made some noise early season with all their upsets, is Memphis.
Yeah.
So I really like them. Outside of that, everybody else is kind of even playing field, and I'm not going to dive right now too far into the mid-major schools that are like, oh, they're going to be the 16 seed ups. I'm not going to dive too far into that right now. We'll obviously dive into that more when the tournament actually starts. So, but yeah, I mean, again, wouldn't be shocked to see what probably 8 to 9 SEC teams make the tournament.
I would not be shocked at all.
So Big 12 will have a fair amount. It's, it is what it is. SEC's kind of been dominating basketball the last couple of years. So, but they just got to get it. They just got to get somebody to actually win the Natty now.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
I mean, Auburn's got a good chance this year. My last one I wanted to mention was what was on my list here? Who is it? Oh, Michigan State. And kind of the same reason as St. John's is coaching. Tom Izzo is a Hall of Famer too. He's won a shit ton of games, and he's got Michigan State playing really, really well right now. I think in the NCAA tournament, I think they're a Sweet 16 team as well.
all right.
I would have zero shock if they made it to like a Elite Eight or Final Four.
So real quick, realistically, how far does Louisville go?
In NCAA?
Yeah.
I think it depends on what seed they get, to be honest. So right now they have us at a 7 seed. In the South, I think it was, where Duke was the 1 seed and Tennessee was the 2. I think Louisville really realistically has a good chance to make it to the Sweet 16. I think. But again, it depends on what seeding. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I know.
Okay. I think it depends on where they land and what teams are in it. But someone like Tennessee, where they got blown out the second game of the year, they're going to out for blood.
Get back. Yeah. No, I agree.
Sweet 16.
So, yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Louisville can make a Sweet 16 run, and I think that's kind of where it stops.
Yeah.
Depending on the matchup, obviously, they match up.
Matchups are everything. Some good teams.
They match up with, a Cinderella team that made their way there. They can potentially get a win.
Yeah.
And move on. But, yeah, I mean, the tournament's all about matchups. So
yeah, Kentucky's my same too. I think they're a Sweet 16 team if they can get someone healthy.
I think as far as they can go is the Elite Eight. Again, depending on matchups, but Sweet 16 is kind of like where I have this team at right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we'll have more come tournament coverage. Actually,
oh yeah, we're gonna do a special episode for that. So be on the lookout for that one.
So that's all I have today. Doug, do you have anything else? Any closing thoughts or anything?
No. But go watch some sports movies, people. If you haven't seen these movies, go watch them. Come on.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it's
closing thoughts.
Especially the ones we named.
Yeah, especially the ones because we are the say all.
Yep. Let us know about what are some moves in the NFL you all want to see. Let us know if you agree with some of our picks. And let us know what you think about that potential Cooper flag to San Antonio. What's that going to look like?
Sneaky moves by the Spurs.
So, as always, as you're watching this, make sure you hit that like button on that YouTube. If you're watching this, hit that little subscribe button. It don't cost anything just to hit a button. Hit all the links that we post and all the bios. Get you to all the social media pages, all the Spotify, all the Amazon, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you just want to listen to audio, don't want to necessarily look at our faces. That being said, I think that's all we got.
We're out. Peace out.